saving faith. We have to believe that Christ died, he was buried, and that he resurrected. We have to believe that. Who has Romans 1:16? Okay.
For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to every one that believeth, the Jew first, and then also to the Greek.
So it's the power of God to whosoever believes. See, that's where our faith has to be mixed with that. We have to believe that Christ died, was buried, and resurrected. We have to believe that. That's saving faith. We need to mix our faith and believe it without a doubt that he died, buried, and resurrected. So the means of the new birth is found in this. Okay, we don't need to turn to it. I didn't give it to anybody. But it's right there in John 3:16, right? For God so loved the world. You know, when I'm sharing with anybody, or I'm sharing with the class even, or with someone that I'm witnessing to, on John 3:16, I always share, for God so loved the world that he gave. Because the word agape, the word for love, is a giving love. So he gives. That's the type of love he wants us to have. If we can't have that type of love amongst our brothers and sisters, how can we have it for the world that is lost? It needs to start first here in the house of God. So I always share, for God so loved the world that he gave. We all know the end of the verse. Gave his son, that whosoever believeth, right? So, but it's important that we know that God loved the world enough to give. And you know, Romans 5:8 tells us that he commendeth his love towards us while we were yet sinners. Christ died for us. So again, with God, there is no time. God's not trapped in the present like we are. God moves freely in the past, the present, and the future. And so God knows all things. We know that. But he commendeth his love for us. While we were in the state of sin, while we were still sinners, he still loved us. Let that sink in. It wasn't when we cleaned up. It wasn't when we put on a suit and went to church. God loved us when we were the ugliest we possibly could be. That's when he loved us and sent Christ for us. Number 2, Jesus gladly came into the world to become the only means of the new birth. John 12:27. Who has that? John?
Now is my soul troubled, but what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this cause came I into this hour.
He said, what can I say? What can I say? Father, save me from this. But yet, this is why I came. I came to die. So literally, Jesus was not, this is just what sums it up. Jesus was born to die. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. He was born to die. John just read John. But what he's saying there is, he said, how can I ask the Father for a different way when this was the cause that I was brought into the world for? I was brought in to do this. Who has John 16, 7 through 11?
But I tell you the truth.
Sorry, hold that thought. John 17, 1 through 5. Who knows what John 17 is? That chapter is known for something, right? The high priestly prayer of Jesus Christ when he interceded for all of us. John 17, 1 through 5. Who has that? Right here.